Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's having a good semester so far. As many of you probably know, we do have a new full-time faculty member on campus this year, Joshua Montaigne. So this meeting is set up to introduce him to all of you. And so, Joshua, do you want to start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Valerie covered my name. That's pretty straightforward. I answer to Josh or Joshua. Either's fine. My background is in animation and media production and in informal education. So I spent 14 years working at Fisher-Price as a media creator and producer and managed a team that did the same kind of work. So that's character animation, motion graphics, video production, and we touched everything from TV commercials to internal communication kinds of media to web content. Before that, I studied animation at Savannah College of Art and Design. And then before that, for a number of years, I did informal education in Washington, D.C., teaching, again, media production and animation. And rewinding before that, even, I studied fine arts in college, so painting, sculpture, drawing, that sort of thing. That's me in a nutshell.
All right, thanks. So what are you teaching this semester? And also let us know where your office is located.
I am situated right now in my office, my palatial office in Felician 217. That's 217 in Felician. I'm teaching 3 sections of advanced animation and then 2 sections of motion graphics and editing. And I'm having a fun time so far in each of those.
So far, so good. All right, so from here, I just have a few questions so we can kind of get to know you a little better. So what are some of your hobbies or interests?
Hobbies and interests, I'm all over the place and they kind of change over time. But currently, my hobbies and interests are sort of strangely centered around my house and my family. I found over time that the things that I really like to do, they've kind of changed into things that are more in support of my family. So I like to build now and do electrical work, which means repairing my house, essentially. My house was in terrible shape when I bought it 8 years ago. So I've spent a lot of time doing those kinds of things, and I find that I enjoy those kinds of things. But before that, I like to sculpt my own action figures. Before kids, I spent a lot of time traveling, and I loved playing video games, doing that sort of thing. Those are the kinds of things that I've sort of pushed off to the side. And I've got a soft spot for old cars and old tractors and the way they were kind of informed by industrial design ideas of the 1950s and 60s. I just think, I don't know, there's something that fascinates me about that period of design for cars and tractors. And of course, I'm an animation nerd. I love cartoons of all kinds. So I still spend a lot of time watching cartoons. A lot of time introducing my kids to the cartoons that I liked both growing up and the ones that I can share with them that I like now.
Very cool. I think you and Jeff have an interest in old trucks in common, so maybe you can bond over that.
Right. So I have kind of a follow-up question for you. Yeah. If you like old tractors, do you prefer John Deere or Farmall?
That's a great question. And actually, International, which built Farmall, I have an old industrial tractor. It's a 2504, if that means anything to anyone. I bought it obviously secondhand a number of years ago, and I've got some implements for it. I have fun tinkering with it and fixing it up, and I started a giant garden for my family with it. So
awesome. Yeah, I've always preferred the Internationals, and the design of the Farmalls a little better. Most John Deere's looked a little too boxy for me.
We'll have to talk more about this, Jeff. This is fantastic. I love it.
All right. So you mentioned you are kind of an animation nerd, as I'm sure most of us here are. So what is your favorite animated movie or TV series?
My favorite animated movie, hands down, is The Iron Giant. That'll be no surprise to the students that have been in class with me, because we've talked about this sort of thing in the first day of each class. But I love Iron Giant because I feel like it's beautifully animated. The fact that it's hand animated is that's not like a crucial thing for me, but it is really beautifully animated. But then it's also got a story that it's a story that doesn't race through everything. It's a story that asks me, at least, to slow down and think about the characters and what they're going through, and then maybe also like think about myself based on what they're going through. I find it a very moving film, honestly. It's one that gets tears in my eyes. If I were to have runners up, it would be The First Incredibles and Cars. I really love those movies too. TV series. I'll go to TV because we're animation nerds, right? So TV series. I have a huge soft spot for the original Scooby-Doo cartoons. I saw those when I was little, and they scared the crap out of me. They scared me a lot. I remember hiding under blankets with my brother and watching those things. And I still like to go back and watch those. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like that kind of undertaking, the way it's one giant story is just super impressive. That's one I just rewatched recently and showed it to my kids for the first time, which was fantastic. Other series that I like. Oh, hold on. If you can see my lunch bag, it's SpongeBob SquarePants. So I like SpongeBob SquarePants also. Yeah, that's probably my tops.
Very nice. I know we have a lot of SpongeBob fans in our student population, so I'm sure they can relate to you in that respect. So our next question for you, what is it that got you interested in animation?
This is another question that won't be, the answer won't be new to the students who've been in my classes, but it was two things. The first was a book that my dad got me when I was just a little kid. It was The Art of the Empire Strikes Back. And I was young enough at the time that like movies were all fantasy land for me. I didn't know that these characters weren't real. It was just, it's like something out of a dream. I just enjoyed it and loved it. And then this book landed on my lap, and it was full of production paintings and like background art, like the matte painting blew my mind. And then also the images of the stop motion models really caught my attention, because we're talking about beasts and these big lumbering mechanical things that were actually kind of small things that were moved by hand and created the illusion of motion. So that was a big one. That was kind of an eye-opening thing. And then somewhat later, somewhere in, I guess it was right after college, I dabbled in animation on and off. But then right after college, I saw Wallace and Gromit: The Wrong Trousers. And that was the point at which I knew I had to animate. The sheer craftsmanship that went into that. The rivulets of rain running down Gromit's raincoat, the little plastic cutouts to show the raindrops going plip off of his head. Just amazing stuff. And comedic timing is fantastic too. So I'd say those two pieces are tops for me.
Yeah, very cool. And then kind of a follow-up question. So you're interested in animation, of course. What got you interested in teaching?
That was my first job. I was attached to a children's museum, actually, in Washington, D.C. And they had a large exhibit based on the life and work of Chuck Jones. And behind the scenes, there was a media arts department also. So it was video production, clay animation. At the time, it was cell animation and photography. And I ran all of that. So I got to work with grade school kids. I got to work with middle school kids and high school kids, both in the museum and then in neighboring school districts. And it was just it was a heap of fun to start with. But I think the thing that really got me hooked on the idea of teaching was in particular with kind of in the same position I was when I got that art book, The Art of Empire Strikes Back book, where I could see them going from just absorbing something passively that they enjoyed to see it like literally like a light bulb going off over their head. If we're talking about cartoons, they had those light bulb moments when they realized that they could create this stuff too. And I would say it was those light bulb moments that really got me excited to teach and share something that I loved.
All right, very cool. Jeff, did you have any other questions for Joshua?
Kind of on a follow-up with that, a lot of your interest there was the old like stop-mo special effects. What do you think is your favorite stop-motion special effect?
a specific special effect, or
right? Like, is there one that kind of stands out to you that you think was really well done, or was done in an interesting, creative way?
I'd have to fall back probably on two examples I've already given, like the giant snow walkers in The Empire Strikes Back. Like the fact that those were filmed and timed in such a way that suspension of disbelief. We're able to believe that those are like what 80-foot tall mechanical creatures that are going to crush people under the foot when they're really like 2-foot tall models. I think that's a fantastic piece of animation. Wallace and Gromit again, like pick any of those Wallace and Gromits, really, just hugely inventive. And then I would say maybe more recently, and I always goof up this title. I hope I get it right. I think it was called Kubo and the Two Strings about 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Beautifully animated stop motion. Like to the one point I remember really catching my attention was the character whose fur would ruffle in the wind, and it was just, oh man, it's just exquisite. It's nice to geek out with people that like to geek out about such things, but it's one of those moments where it's art and it's fantastic. Like you can appreciate all the effort that went into that and all the patience too.
Very cool.
And I guess I have just one runner-up that's just like a sweet spot from my childhood. I love the old Ray Harryhausen movies too, like the giant creatures and the beasts. They're not very well animated, but I remember seeing them as a kid, and I really thought they were fun.
That's understandable. I mean, I have a soft spot for the old Godzilla films.
Like, oh yeah, okay.
I mean, it's obviously a guy in a rubber suit.
Yeah,
it's fun.
You have to set that aside and just enjoy it for sure.
All right, Jeff, any other questions for Joshua?
No, I think that's all I have. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. Just that I'm looking forward to meeting more students. I'm having a lot of fun with the students that I've met so far in my classes, but come up and talk to me. I don't bite. I stopped like 10 years ago. So come up and talk to me.
All right. Thank you, Joshua. Again, Joshua's office is located in 217 in Felician Hall. Make sure you say hi and introduce yourself if you see him in the hallway so he can start getting to know everyone. And welcome to our animation family.
Thanks, guys.
Any last words from anyone? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.